Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games, back with another cool arcade game pinball machine video for you today. Now, this is part 3, so if you haven't seen part 1, don't watch this. And if you haven't seen part 2, definitely don't watch this. But this is part 3. So basically, in part 1, we got this old Lost World pinball machine that we had in storage for a long time that was really messed up. Looked like somebody had left it out in the rain. And we got it, and we started working on it. We started putting all of the boards back in it, getting everything fixed up, working on the cabinet a little bit. And then in part 2, we got a Playfield, a used Playfield, that's been completely stripped of everything and touched up the paint on it. And we have that done, so that was video 2. Now video 3, we're going to actually swap everything off the old Playfield and make the new Playfield give it its permanent home in our new Lost World. So in the first 2, we teased how bad the condition of the Playfield was that was in it, and today you actually get to see it. So we'll start off, I guess, with that. So this is the Playfield that was in this game. You can see that they had left it out in the rain. We also have the plastics. Basically, we took the plastics off of it, and we're going to try to clean it up, because around the plastics it didn't look too bad, but then once you got under the plastics you started seeing that it's just completely destroyed and can't be saved. You've got paint falling off of it all over the place, never mind all the mold and everything that's on it. Dirt, funk everywhere, rust. I don't know how long this thing was rained on, but it's a damn tragedy if you ask me. A lot of that white is where we tried to clean it up before we figured out that there ain't no way. We gave it a good try, folks. We try to save anything, but this is about as bad as it gets. So that's the shape it was in. Ironically, the center of the Playfield had very little wear, and if you saw video 2, we went through all this trouble because we had to repaint the center of the Playfield on the used one that we got. So this is what we ended up with after we repainted the center of this one. So this will make a much nicer Playfield. It's not perfect. You can see where we did some touch-ups all through the middle there, on the wings and everything. But you got to admit that is much better than that. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to start swapping everything over. Now, a lot of the stuff that's on this one we're not even going to be able to use, because look at this. Look at all that. I mean, it's destroyed. Luckily, wires don't get ruined, so we're going to save the wiring harness, of course. But we're going to replace all those sockets with new ones. We're going to clean up the pop bumper assemblies. I don't know what's going to happen with the switches yet. We're going to take each one off individually and try to clean it and replace it if we've got one, and see what we can do. Of course, we got to rebuild the flippers and all of that. So we're just going to go through it slow and see what can happen. So the first thing that we're going to do is lay them both out over here on our... Everybody's got a pinball they can lay stuff on, right? We're going to lay them both side by side and start taking the wiring harness off. And then on the new one, we're going to go ahead and put the general illumination wires that staple to the Playfield back on it. So we will get started on that. We'll be back in a minute. Okay, folks, so we've laid them both out. So we've got the original one here. Looks horrible, looks like crap. And then we've got this one. Now, where this one came from was this was taken out of a machine that we bought it from a guy on eBay. This was taken out of a machine, according to him, a year or 2 after the game came out. So basically, the game came out, the Playfield started getting a little wear on it. You saw how we fixed the center of it, and they actually did a complete Playfield swap back in the day and put the game back out on route. So it's kind of ironic that we're using the one that they rejected to make ours look good again, but that's where we are. So whenever we got it, he had taken even all of the wiring off the back, that all of the you can see how they use that to run the general illumination, or basically on all the lights, how they run the power to the lights. So basically we have to put that back on there. I guess they needed it for their new thing. So what we've been doing is going through and stapling it back down. So I'll show you where we're at. We're going to do this one right here. So you can actually see where the staples were, and you can also compare it to this side. And the staples aren't going all the way in. So what we've been doing is driving them in a little bit with a hammer to get them the rest of the way down. If you had a better stapler, like a stronger one, you probably wouldn't need to do this. And of course, don't do that unless you got something soft under it so you don't mar up the whole front of your machine. I mean your playfield. Like I said, you can see where the original staples were. So you can kind of mimic what they were doing. Basically what this is going to do is once we put the sockets in, the wire needs to touch the socket. That's how it gets its power. Let's see here. It went up to... see, it does one of these. Creative, huh? And then it goes back like that. And then back like this. And then it goes straight up. And then on it goes. We're actually out of the wiring, so we're going to have to find something. I got 15 feet, which isn't quite enough. So if you do this, looks like I'm going to need about 20 feet. So get 20 and you'll have a better one than me. But I'm going to run it to somewhere and then run an extra little piece to get it to the end. So let's see here. I'm still down here. This goes down like so. And well, you get the idea. So we'll keep going through it, and whenever we get a little farther along, we'll come back. Okay, folks, we've been slaving away, and we finished up putting most of the wire on that we were talking about, and then going through and putting in a brand new light bulb socket everywhere it needs one. Now, there's several different types. There's the sideways type. There's the tall type. There's the short type, and then there's these flush mounted types too, and that just all depends on if you want it under the playfield or if you want it sticking up through the playfield. So the way we did it was we basically looked at all the ones over here and took the screw out of that each socket and transported it over here with a brand new socket, and of course we put the wire all exactly where it was on this playfield. We need one little more piece right there. See that over there. But we're getting there. It's starting to look more and more like a playfield. So the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to get a piece of paper and I'm going to label, I'm going to draw on the piece of paper basically a representation of what the back of the playfield looks like, and then label all of the wires for the lights. All of the wires on the switches and everything I'm going to take off with the harness to transport over to this side. So all of the machinery and everything's going to come off the playfield with it. But all of the light bulbs, since they're soldered onto that wire, and we had to get new ones anyways, I'm going to clip every wire and just label them, make sure I know where all, I think there's 55 or something like that, 55 light bulbs go. You can kind of tell on some of them, but on some, like, see how they've got it right here? The green and the black and the white, it would be real easy to put them on the wrong one. So I'm going to make a little drawing where I can keep that all straight. And if you didn't care as much, you could just write on the playfield beside each new bulb, white and black, green and yellow, whatever. But I'm just going to do it on a piece of paper. So the next time you see this, I will have that harness popping up off of there and traveling over to that new playfield. So be back in a few. Okay, so here's where we are. I took off everything on the playfield. So what I did was, as I took things loose from over here, I took the screws and put them over here in the exact spot that they go. And I've got everything disconnected. If it was like a coil, I tried to take it where the coil was off. I'm trying to get as not cut the harness, but leave as much as I can on the old Playfield, so I can take it off piece by piece and clean it and get the rust off of it and everything. So like the flippers, for instance, I've got the coil and the end of stroke switch because that's what is wired. Down here I've got the out-hole switch and the other coil and end of stroke switch. And, the pop bumpers, the kickers, I've got the coil and the switches, and so this entire harness is just laying on here now. So we're going to just transplant it from here to here. Now, another thing that I'm going to have to do as I go through, I'm going to have to basically each little point of the Playfield, I'm going to have to put the freaking T-nuts back in. The guy even took those off. So let me see if I can find one where I can show you what I'm talking about. Right here. See that little hole? And then next to it another little hole and the 3 little dots around it? That's a T-nut. So the one that goes there is this one. I guess you can't see that. Is that one. And so it's a little, they call it a T-nut. It goes through the Playfield a little bit and the screw keeps it from twisting. And you use that to mount the posts. You use that to mount the posts through the Playfield from the top side. So all of those had to be replaced too because the guy even took those off. Why did he do me like this? Luckily on this Playfield there's not a ton of those, so because on the Bally's a lot of their posts they just use screws. So there are several though, so I'm going to have to just piece by piece go through every little thing and replace it. And then of course resolder all my wires to it. And I still have to solder the each light socket to the wire on the Playfield. You don't need it just touching like this. There has to be solder on it. So we will keep working it and we'll keep documenting it, and you can see it as we go through. Be back instantaneously here on YouTube, but in real life it'll be tomorrow. Okay folks, we are moving along nicely. So we got the harness all kind of screwed in and then soldered in. We've still got to put new flipper assemblies on it, or rebuilt flipper assemblies I should say. Of course all the sockets ended up being new. We got our switches back. A lot of the little things that were pretty rusted, I had other ones from other Playfields. Like I've got some parts Playfields and things. So like the little rollover wires and stuff. Some of it I didn't have, like I didn't have any extras of these brackets, but they weren't too bad. A lot of these switches, the stand-up switches, yeah, that's a good example here. That's the shape they were all in, all rusted. But I had some off of some used Playfields where I was able to replace the bracket and some of the little metal pieces inside so they wouldn't be as rusted. That one I ran out of them, so I had to leave one as bad as it was. But a lot of them I was able to go ahead and replace. So I'm hoping that like whoever gets this, maybe we're putting a lot of time and effort into it. So hopefully down the road someone else can put a little more time and effort into it. And money is the most important thing, and replace some of the stuff that we haven't replaced. If you were doing this for your home collection, you could probably just go ahead and buy almost all of this stuff new. They make the little, the new little wires. They make the new switches. Brackets like this, I don't know if you get new, but you could probably buy nice used ones. The little bracket for the switch, they probably actually do make new. That one that I had to leave rusted. And of course, we put all of the new GI braid in it, and the new sockets, so that helps. The pop bumpers, everything above the Playfield is going to be new on those. I've got some I'll show you that over here. Let me walk over here and we'll show you some of the parts that we're working on. So this is the original screwed up Playfield. You can see things like that from the bottom of the pop bumper that are just destroyed, but I've got a bunch of parts here off of other tables. And so, you know what? That might be my pop bumper thing I was just talking about. I'll have to look at my kicker thing. So I've got these, for instance, that are in much better shape, so I'll be using those. But I've still got to go through and get the either put new T-nuts in it or steal the old ones off. It's so crazy. Look, some of them are in fine shape and some of them are rusted all to crap. So we shall see. These big, huge ones up here are for the little rebound things at the top, like this. That's on the top of the Playfield. We also were able to remove the wood rails on the Playfield and put them on the new one. Clean them up a little bit. You can see how they were stapled in originally. We just screwed them back in. Interestingly enough, the Playfields have holes for screws, so you can screw those in, but they didn't really use them. So we're probably going to keep this nasty Playfield and hang it on the wall and see if anybody's interested in buying it. Yuck! Yuck! It's nasty. Yuck! So anyway, we are getting there. So next up, we're going to we got to do our flippers. The two bases for the kick-out saucers were really rusty, so I took them apart and sanded them down and painted them. So they're in the back. The paint's drying. And then we've got to do the 3 pop bumpers. So I'm down to the 2 kick-out saucers, the 2 flippers, and the 3 pop bumpers, and then all of the little various T-nuts that are all over the place. So that is next. Be back soon. Okay, we have put the Playfield back in the case, and our general illumination works. I'm going to act like it worked the first time, but I had one of the sockets I had the solder touching both sides, and so it shorted it out and was blowing the fuse, but I found it. But now we've got all of our general illumination with brand new sockets doing its thing. You can see that I waxed it a little bit. You can still see some of the places I touched up, but it looks pretty good. We're very, very happy with it. So that's where we are right now. So I'm going to start putting the rest of the Playfield back together, and then we'll see how it looks. Getting closer! So we started putting some of the plastics on. Starting to look like a pinball machine, folks. Okay, folks, we got it all buttoned up and thought we'd shoot a little video showing you the end result of the Playfield swap. And see what you think. Check that out. We're waiting on some pop bumper caps, and I guess I got to fix that one light bulb. It's always something. But we think it came out pretty good. You can see how the touch-ups we've done really aren't that noticeable once the glass is on it and all of the plastics are on it and everything's doing what it does. Came out pretty decent, really. So we're going to call that one done. Saved it. Now what we'll do is we'll film a full-length video of us showing all the art and showing how to play it, reading the rules, and then some gameplay and everything. But we'll do that in another video. So I hope you like the series here that we did on this, showing us bringing it back from nothing to fully working. By the time we take the video, we'll have the new pop bumper caps on it. That'll be about the last little thing. So if you like the video, or if you haven't seen the earlier versions of the video, go check them out on our website. I mean on YouTube. And make sure you subscribe to us here and leave some feedback below. Let us know what you think. How you think the Playfield came out. Remember when I was inking in all that stuff? Looks pretty nice, really. Not bad. I think a lot of people would have no clue that that's been touched up. But leave comments below. Let us know what you think, and make sure to subscribe to us. Lost World.